guys, I'm Saumya. Thanks for watching. I'm back with another video on my channel, Saumya's Bookstation. I spread all the book love that I can. So if you are a book lover, do not forget to hit that subscribe button and also press the bell icon. And if you like my videos, don't forget to like and share them. As a huge admirer of Khaled Hosseini's work, I am happy to be making this video. All his stories have reached my heart and they have made me cry. They have made me emotionally attached to the plot. They have made me feel for the characters, and I feel that makes Khaled Hosseini a really gifted writer, and I'm happy to have read his work and I look forward to reading more of his work. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about all the 4 books that I have read by him and why I love them. And if you are an admirer of Khaled Hosseini's work just like me, feel free to pour out your love for his books in the comment section because I look forward to hearing from you. The first book is And the Mountains Echoed. Now this was my first read by Khaled Hosseini. I remember reading it back in 2013 or 14. And I distinctly remember that when I had finished this book, I had decided at that point of time that I was going to read each and every book that this author had written or was ever going to write. This is a remarkable book. It starts in 1950s in Afghanistan with 2 siblings, Abdullah and Pari, who come from a poor family, but they love each other and they love their father, so they're happy even though they're poor. But they have no idea that their lives are about to change and the fate is going to play its cruel game. So this is a story that takes place over many years and it is multi-generational and it takes place in different continents. So naturally it has a plethora of characters. What is amazing about this book is that despite it having so many characters, I as a reader was able to get invested in each of their personal stories. Each of their personal stories is so compelling, and I love how these characters are connected to each other. There is a thread that kind of connects all these characters to each other. It is all beautiful in this book, how everything pans out. I loved reading it so much and I remember crying buckets after reading this book. I remember crying buckets while reading it. I often take up this book and I reread the portions that I really like reading. And this is the kind of story that in its own very powerful way focuses on the importance and strength of human bonds. This book has very successfully covered a lot of aspects, pleasant or unpleasant, of being human through various characters. The next book is 1,000 Splendid Suns. So this was my second read by Khaled Hosseini and this book is completely women-centric. It has 2 female protagonists named Maryam and Leila. They both come from different generations but fate brings them together. So the story starts with the story of Maryam, who is a teenager who lives with her mother in a hut-like house, and they're poor but they're somehow able to manage. And Maryam's father is actually very rich but he doesn't live with them and he comes to visit Maryam from time to time. Then we get to read about the character of Leila as the story progresses. Leila lives with her parents and her father is a very progressive man who wants her to study and become something. Meanwhile, the story also talks about how some severe and really unpleasant changes come in Afghanistan as Taliban takes over. People start living in fear and starvation. So in this story, we get to read about Maryam and Leila and the challenges they face because they are women, and also the challenges they face living in a country where terror reigns supreme. So this is another story where Khaled Hosseini has talked about the importance of love that exists between human beings and how the same love can lead a person to act so bravely even in the worst situations. I have not been able to forget any book by Khaled Hosseini, but this book has a special place in my heart and Maryam's character has an even more special place in my heart. I think about her character quite a lot. I had read an interview by Khaled Hosseini where he had mentioned specifically that Maryam's character is inspired from the struggles of a lot of women that actually exist or existed. So that makes Maryam's character even more special and it makes my connection to her character even stronger. The next book is The Kite Runner. Now this was my third read by Khaled Hosseini, even though it was his very first book. So this is a story that is taking place in the Afghanistan of 1970s and we get to read about 2 12-year-old boys named Amir and Hassan. Now Amir is the son of a rich man and Hassan is the son of his low caste servant. Now because Hassan belongs to a low caste, he is always often a subject of ridicule and mockery, but at the same time Hassan is very courageous and brave and Amir often envies him because due to his courage, Amir's father really admires Hassan. So Amir really wants to gain the approval of his father. So he decides that he's going to win the kite flying tournament and make his father proud. And Hassan, being a really loyal and a true friend to Amir, promises to help him. But on the day of the tournament, something absolutely terrible and disturbing happens that none of the boys could have foreseen. We also read about the Russian invasion that takes place in Afghanistan, because of which a lot of people flee Afghanistan, including Amir's family. This is a story that takes place over several years, and again this is a story that talks about the adverse impacts of terrorism in Afghanistan. My heart went out to Hassan's character. His loyalty and friendship towards Amir was heart-aching and so pure to read about. Amir's character, on the other hand, ended up teaching me so many lessons about being human. Often in our weaknesses we make wrong choices, but those choices end up haunting us, and as time passes, in order to get redemption, we have to make amends to whatever extent we can, even if we cannot change the past. The next book is Sea Prayer. Now this was the fourth book by Khaled Hosseini. It came out last year in 2018. Before this, And the Mountains Echoed came out in 2013, so there was a gap of 5 years. As somebody who is a huge fan of his work, I was waiting for Sea Prayer with bated breath. So Sea Prayer is not like his other 3 books. It is actually a kind of a poem, and this book is filled with illustrations made by Dan Williams. So in this book there is not much text, but it is there somewhere or the other, and it is kind of a poem, a prayer that a father is making. So in this book, a father is remembering those days in Syria when there was no unrest, when everything was happy, and now he's thinking about the present time when everything is so devastating and everything has been destroyed, and how they have to flee in a boat and how they have to be in the choppy waters, and he's just praying to the sea to be kind because he's traveling with his little son. So this book is actually inspired from the story of a 3-year-old Syrian refugee, Alan Kurdi, who drowned in the Mediterranean Sea and his body washed up on a shore. The picture was also there on the internet and it was heartbreaking. The illustrations in this book are extremely impactful and the poem is phenomenal, but at the same time, since I was waiting for 5 years and I did not get a full-fledged novel, all I got was a poem, an effective poem, but just a poem. I felt underwhelmed as a reader. So that was my video about Khaled Hosseini books. If you haven't read any of these books, then you should definitely consider picking them up. At least the first 3 books that I talked about. The fourth one, that is The Sea Prayer, is a book that if you can borrow from some place, or if you can just go to a bookstore and read the poem in no time, you can do that as well. Unless and until, of course, you want to own the beautiful illustrated but really short book, then that's your choice. So that was my video. If you want to get your hands on any of these books, then I've left the link to these books in the description box. If you like my content and if you want to support me, please consider buying these books or anything that you buy at all from Amazon from my links. That would be very helpful. I would appreciate it. So yeah, that was my video. If you want to connect with me on my social media, the links are in the description. I'll see you in my next video. Till then, bye bye.